Hey YouTube, it's the Riz again. I'm back making another video. This one's not about my hair, actually. It's not about any tutorial type thing. Well, this is a tutorial. A tutorial on how to treat your waiter and how to behave when you're at a restaurant, including the tipping process. And I know there's been a lot of waiter rant videos, but guess what? I'm a waiter. And I was a waiter. I'm actually now a banquet server, which is still waiting on people. It's just at a large scale. So yes, part waitress, part banquet server. I'm about to tell you a few things that just, I cannot stand. Number one, I need everyone who ever goes out to eat to understand that you are not the only person in the restaurant. You're just not. And I'm sorry, if you wanted to be the only person who had to be taken care of, you should have stayed home and had someone else that lives with you take care of you. Or you should have hired a chef and had him come in and focus only on you. I don't care what you do, but you shouldn't have come to a restaurant, and don't rush me once you get there. I am not making your food. As the waiter, your waiter or waitress is not making your food. Don't get mad at them. If they come out and tell you 15 more minutes, it's not their fault. And guess what? It's not the cook's fault either. But I need you to understand. So don't give me an attitude if your food takes long. If you look around and you see other people, then guess what? Somebody else is getting taken care of as well as you. So relax. Calm down. Next thing. Okay. If you cannot afford to tip, you cannot afford to go out to eat. I need people to understand that. Like, say it with me. If I can't tip, I can't go out to eat. Because the point of going out to eat is that you want it to be taken care of. You want it to be waited on. And guess what? Your waiter has fulfilled their job. Now, there's always situations where there's a horrible server, and I don't mean horrible as in, your food wasn't out in 2 seconds after you ordered it. I mean, maybe someone just isn't doing their job. But even still, if you wanted to not tip, you should have cooked for yourself, or no, you just should have cooked for yourself, because that is what you are paying for when you go out to eat. You're not only paying for someone else to cook for you, but you're paying for someone else to take care of you. So you need to pay that person. You may have seen it on other videos. Waiters only make $2.13 an hour, that basic waiter, at a regular restaurant. Now, granted, I work in a hotel. You might make a little bit more money, maybe like $3 an hour, $5 an hour. That's a rare occurrence. On average, you make $2.13 an hour. And that is not enough to pay anybody's bills, and you all know that. So whether or not your waiter was kissing your feet the whole time, that's not what determines if they should get a tip or not. What determines if they should get a tip or not is if they brought you your food, got your order, introduced themselves, were respectable and friendly. They did their job. They brought you your food, they got you your drink refills, the basics. And I feel like 10%, whoever said, look, I know once upon a time 10% was great. That was enough. The cost of living is so high, 10% is an insult. And I'm not saying, I feel like your basic tip, if you want to insult somebody, if they didn't do good service, leave them 10%. But leave people something. You know what? I take that back. I very wholeheartedly believe in leaving people something. But there are certain exceptions to this rule. If your bill was $100, $200, $300, and you leave me $3, it's just insulting. I don't want it. I could have found $3 on the ground, and I just served you, and you spent $100 on food, but you couldn't tip me at least 10%, which would be $10, enough to insult a person. But there are people who are okay with 10%. Nothing wrong with 10%. For me, personally, I feel like 15% is the base. What you leave when you go out to eat. So if you cannot afford to tip, if all you have in your wallet is $10, and your meal costs $8, don't go out to eat. You can't afford it. You can't. Maybe you can afford the food, but you cannot afford the service. So why don't you go find a recipe for how to make that, and for that same $10, you could make it and probably eat off of it for like 2 or 3 days. That's my recommendation. But don't come into the restaurant and bitch and moan and say all this stuff and do whatever, and then not tip me? Ooh. It's just rude. It's just really rude. And I know people say, well, you signed up for this job. If you didn't want to be a waiter, you shouldn't have. I understand, but I signed up for this job with the expectation of tip. And if I don't make If I don't make at least minimum wage in a pay period, it's the restaurant's responsibility to pay me up to at least minimum wage. But how many people do you know that are even surviving on minimum wage? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having a minimum wage job, because a lot of time waitressing ends up being somewhere around that minimum wage level. But come on, to just start off with not even, come on, don't do it. Don't do it. Next, when I walk up to the table and say, "Hi, my name is Brittany. How may I help you?" Don't not acknowledge me. Do not acknowledge me. I'm about to provide a service for you. I'm doing proper protocol, proper procedures as to being friendly, acknowledging you, stating my name, and offering you a drink or whatever. Don't just look at me. And no, don't not look at me. Because that's so rude. But then don't just look at me like I didn't say anything. You heard me. Respond. Hello. You don't have to be my best friend. You don't have to, tell me your name even. Just say hi. That's what I want. I need to be acknowledged. Period. I'm about to provide a service for you. This is just common sense. My pet peeve. My absolute pet peeve. If you are not under the age of, let's say 7 or 8, and even if you have an eye problem, let it be known. But I hate. This is a Christmas card, but we're going to pretend it's a menu. When people say, I say, "Hi, what can I get for you?" I want that. Can I get that? What is that? You can speak. If you could read it, sorry, I'm slamming things. I just get upset. But if you could read it to decide that you wanted it, guess what? You can repeat the title back to me. I shouldn't have to lean over, look at your menu, guess and choose at which picture you're pointing at. I shouldn't have to do that. My job is to take your order, not find it, not search for it, not read it with you. That's why I leave you with the menu in the first place, so you can have some time to decipher things for yourself. And when I get back, tell me what you want. Do not point. If you are unable to see, if you have eye vision problems, let a sister know. Don't just point. I hate when people just point. How lazy could you be? I'm already taking care of you. And I don't care. Maybe this offends some people who go out and think that the way they behave is perfectly fine. Oh well. You need to change your habits because they're not perfectly fine. Guess what? Don't like making 9 trips to the kitchen. I just don't. I'm going to have to make a lot of trips anyway. So when I ask you, can I get you anything else, any other condiments or ketchup? I even myself go as far as to suggest a few items that I could possibly bring for you from the kitchen. That way, when I'm in there, I can get it all and bring it out to you. But when I say, "Is there anything I can get you?" you say no. One time, I'm not upset. "Oh, you know what? Can I have some honey mustard?" All right, fine. Sure. I bring back the honey mustard. "Oh, can I get some ketchup?" You knew ketchup was in there. You knew ketchup was in there. You knew it. Okay, fine. I'll get you ketchup. "Oh, by the way, could I get some sour cream?" Don't do that.